All right, we're almost dry. So we're just going to go back in and do some more layering. Pushing a lot of that burnt sienna mixture much darker. And our darks much darker. And our sienna mixture. Keeping that light, but more of a mid-tone there. And I'm still not happy with this sky. So I think I'm going to combine a little bit of my purple to our cerulean. And do that wash again. Just to get more of a harmony in these colors. So let's do the sky first, as usual. Take your brush and be sure it's clean. See all the blue that's still on that? We're doing the blue, so we're fine, but if you're doing a different color, you've got to be sure your brush is clean. Just making this a little wetter, a little more vibrant. That's gonna, because our building is light, I want to push this sky a little bit more of a mid-tone. Just feel like it needs it. A lot of this is just judgment on your part. You might be happy with your sky. And we're going to go back into our burnt sienna. Let's darken that with a little bit of the violet so it's not so vibrant. Just soften that on down into there. Take a little bit and bring it over in here. Just a little bit. Get a little bit more in these areas. And a little of the violet while we're at it. Just mixed right in on my brush. Getting some of these shadows in there. Just building the whole thing a little bit darker. I'm going to marry all this together a little bit. Cover this again. And bring our darks up from the base again. You can do it this way, or you can turn it upside down and just soften it that way. Like that. Some of these blocks have darker areas in them. So just give them some texture. That's better. Going back in with my violet down here, building this darker. Right up under there. Keeping that kind of blue up under here. Dark though, our dark shadow, remember? Just trying to get that door a little more interesting. Just pushing some of these dark areas. And that's just that mixture that's on my brush. Just wanting some of these things to push forward. Just knocking them back a little bit more. Now that's more the burnt sienna. Excuse me, the raw sienna. Picking up some color in some of these blocks. Now I'm going to sit down. I'm standing up to paint this. Now I'm going to sit down and do these, push these darks really dark with a smaller brush. Back to that pointed number 4. Okay, so let's just put some more darks in here then while it's still wet. Here, put a little dark in here. Just to kind of give that some interest. And bring this on down a little bit. A little burnt sienna in there. Clean those recesses up. Let all that merge together. So I'm going to dry this now. So stop and dry what you have. All right, we've taken off the masking fluid, and it looks pretty scary, but that's okay, don't worry. First thing I'm going to do before I go in with the darkest darks is I'm going to soften all these areas that don't need to be so bright. So pushing that back, especially over on this side, on the shadow side, with just a wash of the raw sienna. Okay, even up in there. So we don't want any real lights up in here, because the lights are really not white, they're just lighter. So I'm just going to soften them at first until we get over here where the true whites are. We're going to be careful over there. Okay. Light wash. We're not scrubbing this in. We just wanted that definition in there. These are not, You can tell which ones are standing out and which aren't. There are a few standing out up here. So we'll make this a little lighter here. So those still stand out a bit. And being careful not to lose the white on everything. This is white. We're going to leave that white. So we're just going to knock this back just a little bit with just the tip of your brush. Barely. I want this to be a little darker on this side though. Down here. We don't want this standing out because that's in the background. So we'll soften that. And soften this side right here. Now our whites are standing out beautifully. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm gonna knock that back. Oh, let's just blend that in since we don't know what's going on right there really. We want this white area here though, left. That looks a lot better. All right. So, let's get this one. And go ahead and drop some color in these. Get that all softened a bit. Darker under there, darker in there, darker on this side here. Now you can soften these lines as much as you want to. I like this harsh look. You may not. If you want to soften them, just take your flat brush and just dampen it with a paper towel. And anything that's harsh, you can just go in and soften it like that. And it won't stand out nearly as much. So any place that looks too bold or too, don't worry about this down here because that's our shrubs. But any place that you don't like the looks of it, just go in like this and scrub it all in. That's that darker area. We want that to be darker. It's best to stand back and look at it. This is all harsh right in here, but we're going to soften that when we get the darks in there. So don't worry about that yet. And we're going to clean these edges up here as well. But I think it's looking pretty good. We're going to also add some more of the violet down in here. Dry a little bit. Thinking this around this area is too harsh. So let's just soften all these things here. Just scrub it. See, it softens it all right out. And a little damp brush. There we go, that's much better. So anything that looks harsh to you, and I do realize that masking fluid is harsh, so just scrub your lines back some, especially on these harsh areas. This is what brings your painting together right here, is this detail. When you use masking fluid, you really have to go back in and soften it some because it really can disrupt what you're trying to do. So anything that looks harsh, these over here, Soften them a bit here and there. If you have too much going on. Anything that you see that's just too much, just go in and clean up the edges of it. Besides, it makes your blocks look much more believable, because blocks are not all one color, because they're a natural product. So any place that you want to soften your blocks and make them look more believable. I spend a lot of time on this stage of painting because I find that this is where the real details come in, get cleaned up, look nice. You have to have a good little scrubber brush. It's not too soft and not too hard. I need to recapture this edge right here. So in order to do that, I'm going to lighten this right here along the edge of that pilaster, whatever those things are called. That way you know that you've got to keep these edges light. This one, we're going to lighten this edge so it comes forward a bit. All the way up to here. That gives us that dimension we want. Try to keep it as square as possible, as straight as possible. That's already looking better. Now you can see the different structures that are happening here.